Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about uh, a rumor that's been spreading quite aggressively in recent weeks, which is the Apple car. Um, and we all know that now we all know that Apple has ambition to build up its own electric vehicles. And it kind of makes sense because Apple has always been a hardware company to begin with. And it makes sense for it to expand into the EV industry and basically integrate its existing products and systems into the car itself. So um, it's it's actually a quite ambitious and interesting initiative. Um, so in today's video, we're going to talk about you know why this is an important step for Apple as a company and how it could potentially transform the company from mostly a phone company uh, to a more multifaceted and diversified company, and potentially competing against uh, other EV companies like Tesla. So let's take a look. And by the way, we all know that the EV industry uh, is already exploding in 2020, and it's only gonna become bigger and bigger in the coming years as as the world governments starting to realize that how important the EV can be in the in fighting against climate change and reduce pollution and carbon emission. So yeah, let's take a closer look at what is gonna happen to Apple and how its cars is gonna look like if it does come out in the near future. So far, we don't know how the car looks like yet. But the company series has serious plans to work in that area, and it hasn't officially confirmed any of the information disclosed by Reuters. Um, but nonetheless, its news is significant because um, from the report, it says Apple had been um, studying and researching EV since 2017 and already have a few patents available. So as far as the current state of self-driving cars, um, the history of self-driving cars is very much reflective of the decades-long search for artificial general intelligence. The finish line always seems to be around the corner, but the closer we get to it, the harder it becomes. Yeah, this one is quite on point because Tesla once claimed that it's gonna have fully automated robotaxi on the road by 2020, but so far it has, it's not even close yet, and it's already 2021 as of today. And by the way, Happy New Year! We are on the first day of 2020, and yeah, just like we says here, like many of today's AI technology, self-driving cars have their roots in the 1970s and 80s, but until recent years, they were only limited to academic and military research labs and science contests. Advances in deep learning have led to great improvements in computer vision, one of the key technologies powering self-driving cars. We are finally seeing cars that can drive themselves in real streets. Um, so yeah, Tesla has achieved level 3 autonomy. That means the cars can navigate uh, on clear roads and in some simple scenarios. But the fully autonomous state means um, means level 5 autonomy, which is which has proven to be harder than expected to achieve. Um, Deep learning algorithms have helped self-driving cars come a long way towards navigating challenging environments, but the technology itself is far from perfect. We heard a lot about those crashes that Tesla or other car companies, so it is not easy. Deep learning models are as good as their training data. If the data is representative of all the situations the self-driving car will face, then it will have a robust performance. But the AI's actions will become unpredictable when faced with edge cases, novel situations that happen rarely, such or a fire truck parked at an odd angle or an overturned car. And here's a footage of a Tesla car crashing into an overturned lane. So we can see it here. Where is the Tesla? Oh, okay. Yep, right here. And it crashed right into the into the object. So yeah. uh, oh, here's another footage. Yeah. um, yeah. So there are plenty of edge cases that the data, the training data set might not capture, and that will result in crashes and other accidents. And it's those edge cases is what makes fully autonomous driving very difficult, because there's literally no way you can predict like what's going to happen on the road, and everything is changing. So yeah, and that's the major barrier Tesla is facing right now. Okay, and some companies are using lidars. Actually, all of them except Tesla. But we talked about this in another video, so feel free to check out if you wonder why Tesla is not using lidar, and it's actually a pretty convincing argument. So let's talk about Apple self-driving car efforts. It has been doing autonomous driving research under the title Project Titan since 2014. But unlike efforts at other companies like Uber and Google, very little is known about Apple's self-driving car project and the company's progress. The initial goal was reportedly for Apple to create a car from scratch. In 2016, the company shifted focus and aimed at developing software for self-driving cars. In January 2019, Apple laid off 100 employees from the project and went on to acquire self-driving startup Drive.ai. In December 2020, the company moved Project Titan under the care of a director is head of artificial intelligence. The history of Project Titan indicates that Apple has always maintained interest in self-driving cars, but there were never signs of a plan to launch a product. This changed with the Reuters report, which claimed Apple has progressed enough that it now aims to build a vehicle. This is a piece that, here it discusses the Apple strategy when it comes to product development. Apple is usually not a first mover, but it certainly knows when to enter a new market. Apple II was not the first personal computer, but it was the first very successful one. Building on top of a decade of rapid advances in storage and processing technologies, and the gradual decrease of the cost of manufacturing the pieces required to assemble a home computer. The iPod was also not the first device to play audio files, but it launched at a very opportune time, when digital media adoption had reached critical mass and the market was ripe for high-end consumer products. The same with iPhone, which entered the scene as mobile communications internet, and computing had become common thanks to the likes of Nokia and BlackBerry. There was nothing new to the iPhone, but it was a novel combination of an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. Yeah, so that point illustrates that Apple has never been the first mover when it comes to a product, but it has always outcompeted its competition because because the product it creates is so good that um, that it literally like no other products can match it. Even though it's not the first company to launch a product like that, but the product is so much more superior than everything else that's on the market, and that's what leads to the success of Apple today. Um, yeah, and here it has some further elaborations here. Yeah, there's no real self-driving car yet. Um, yeah, and here it talks about the training data for the AI algorithms. And it's quite interesting. There's one very convincing reason Apple would enter a market as immature and risky as self-driving cars. Unlike other sectors that Apple has conquered, self-driving cars are heavy on artificial intelligence and warrant a different development strategy. Deep learning algorithms used in self-driving cars require huge volumes of training data obtained from driving cars on roads. Therefore, aside from sound engineering and design, you need an AI factory built on top of a solid data infrastructure. Oh, yeah. This is similar to what Tesla has, and Tesla calls it data engine, which uh, is a machine that uses the data to train the models. Um, Waymo and Uber have been collecting their data by test driving their cars in different cities. Tesla, on the other hand, has directly collected its data from the hundreds of thousands of cars it has sold to consumers. According to reports, Apple has done some small-scale road testing in the past, but downgraded the effort in 2019. Well, probably because it was not very successful. It was harder than imagined. Um, and the plan to launch a consumer-level self-driving car might indicate that Apple will be adopting a strategy that is similar to Tesla, which would be a bit controversial for a company that takes pride in collecting very little data from consumers. Uh, so it's still unknown whether who is gonna dominate in this self-driving space. Here it talks about who will buy Apple's self-driving car. My guess is that it's gonna try to build the most consumer-friendly product, like every other product Apple has. Um, yeah, but one thing for certain is that it won't be cheap because if you if you look across Apple's major products, none of them is cheap. They all sell at a premium, and yeah, I certainly believe that the car will also sell at a premium. Probably 50,000 to like $100,000 at least. Mm. And here's the estimate, 2017 estimate. LiDARs used in self-driving cars can cost between $8,000 and $85,000. So LiDARs are very expensive, and that's one argument of why Tesla doesn't use LiDAR. Sometimes can triple the price of the car. Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah, but industry is changing rapidly. There are now $100 and $500 LiDARs, and Apple has developed its own LiDAR scanners at a cost that makes it affordable to embed them in the iPhone 12 and iPad Pro devices. Give up full control. This part is about manufacturing. According to the Reuters report, Apple is looking to outsource the manufacturing of the car, probably to China, where their iPhones are manufactured, which would be in contrast to the company's preference to maintain full control over its product stack. Apple controls the hardware, operating system, and the storefront for its phones, watches, TVs, and computers. But even though Apple has decades of experience in running manufacturing plants and managing complex supply chains, building cars is a different challenge altogether, which would warrant partnering with car manufacturer. An alternative would be for Apple to acquire an automotive company with more than 200 billion in liquid assets. The company could easily buy many top-tier car makers, including General Motors and Volkswagen, and build vehicles at scale. So yeah, so this one is speculating that Apple might acquire uh, a car company in order to build its own cars. Yeah, so here's an article, but I would say it has some very good analysis, but mostly are speculations. So take it with a grain of salt. But one thing for sure is that Apple is going to go into this EV industry. There is no doubt about that. The trend is there, and the potential profit could be huge, and it's just too big of a trend to ignore for Apple. So here's another research report that details some of the patents from Apple that could be used on its cars. There are five of them. At least that's five of them detailed in this article. The first one is augmented virtual display. A virtual reality system that would help prevent passengers motion sickness by providing augmented or virtual displays. Okay, that's very interesting. It overlaps with the VR uh, technology and has something to do with this, AR and VR. Climate control. There's an automated climate control system in the car. The sensor use sensor inside and outside a vehicle to measure such data as the temperature of the car seats or certain passenger body parts. Okay, this is pretty cool. System and method for dynamic privacy and window tinting. Conventional car windows can adapt the amount of light they let through to factors like who is riding in the vehicle, what they are doing, or what the weather is like outside. The patent notes and therefore would benefit from many improvements. The invention described in this patent is a tinted film covering on the exterior of a vehicle that adjusts based on data from various sensors, as well as explicit and implicit in requests or commands for tinting. For example, at nighttime, the system would automatically lessen the tinting level so a vehicle passenger could see light through the window, such as from streetlights and other cars. But if the passenger closed their eyes, it could darken the tint to make sleeping more comfortable, according to the patent. As an additional example, the patent states an occupant of the vehicle may place packages in the rear zone of the vehicle. The tinting system of the vehicle may automatically adjust the tint of the adjustable exterior-facing surface to prevent others from viewing the packages. Okay, so this patent is related to privacy. Yeah. Method for locating a vehicle. Okay, so this one is pretty common nowadays. For your iPhones, you can know where your iPhone is from the location service on your iPhone. Tesla also has that in their cars, which you can summon your vehicle from a distance and know where your car is parked on your phone through an app. Charging station with passive alignment mechanism. Okay, that's one. The charging, pretty cool. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's pretty cool. Overall, but most of it are all speculations at this point. So you know, the reality is Apple doesn't have a EV car as of this moment, but it's gonna have one. Uh, it's in the process of developing one and potentially put it out there very soon. Um, yeah, and whether or not this effort initiative is successful, I would say it's an important step for the company to take towards, you know, taking a very